a referral really is often the best lead you can get. They are typically coming in pre-sold. They are typically less price resistant. A referral is less likely to shop around. So if any of you are doing like a Google pay-per-click, or you're doing Facebook ads, or you're doing search engine optimization, if you're getting leads that way, they're not bad leads, but they're nowhere near as warmed up as a referral lead. They take more selling skill, they take more follow-up, they're usually more fee resistant, and they're typically shopping at that point. But a referral, when they come in, usually all of that goes away. And if you really think about this, if every single client you have referred just one additional client every year, you would double your business every year, right? And when I say that, it's kind of like, I don't know, well, of course, but then the next question is, well, if we knew that, then the question is, what are we doing to fuel them? What systems and processes do we have in place? My mentor, Dan Kennedy, said something that it's very negative, but it's stuck with me, and there's a lot of truth in it. It's not entirely true, but there is a lot of truth in it, and that is, nothing good happens automatically in business. Like, if there's anything going on in business that's good, it's because you did something, you worked on it, you hired somebody, you made good happen, because good rarely happens. He says that, but I mean, obviously, every once in a while, you get the good referral or the lead that comes in, and you probably did something to help it, but every once in a while, something good does happen, so I'm not that cynical. But when it comes to referrals, if you want to get more of them, obviously, you want to have some systems and processes in place. So a couple things I really want to talk about before we get into strategies. I actually have 10 things to give you to fuel referrals. You don't have to do all 10 things. You could pick one or two. I tried to think as many as I could give you, so if you didn't like this one, you had others, you have other options. But one of the things I want to point out is being really great at what you do. If you deliver excellent service, it does not entitle you to referrals. It is the minimum starting point. And here's something that's worth writing down. It's easier to patronize a company than it is to refer a company, right? You all probably have vendors that you're buying from that you're not super happy with. And if somebody asked you for a referral, you wouldn't refer them. Like Jeff, when he first moved to Nashville, from California, it's going back a while ago. I was just thinking about this the other day. He has a pool, and he said, well, who do you use for your pool company? And I told him, I said, but I wouldn't recommend them. And by the way, I'm still using them today. And Jeff's been here, 10 years or something? I mean, yeah, well, it's because I'm busy, and good enough is good enough, and they've screwed a couple things up. They sort of made it right. They have a new tech who comes out. Seems like every 3 months they got a new guy, and sometimes the new guy is good, and then he disappears, and someone else. So I wouldn't refer, but I am patronizing them. So I think the one thing you've got to understand is being great at what you do is just the minimum. And it actually doesn't entitle you to referral because clients feel like you did a great job. Well, you're supposed to do a good job. I pay you to do a good job. You don't get any extra because you do a good job, right? So I think the first thing you got to realize is referrals really have to be earned in a little bit different way. Doing a great job will get you more referrals, and it's the foundation, but it's not the only thing. This is what's really key. I think the most important factor in whether or not a client refers you is the relationship they have with you. So if, for example, there's actually 2 dermatologists I go to. One I've been going to for years and years and years. They actually found, when I had melanoma, they were the one that found it, and I had the surgery with them. And I like them, and I go back for a regular routine. Every 6 months, I have to go back and have a scan done and all that. That's fine. But the dermatologist I use for like lashes and facials and other things like that, see, the doc that's there, she and I have a good relationship. Like, she's an entrepreneur. And so we will sit in her office often for like 45 minutes before an appointment, after an appointment, just talking shop, because she's a good marketer. Now, I have a good relationship. So if somebody asks me, where would you go for, what dermatologist, I refer her, not the place that saved me from cancer, which is crazy. you got to remember, it's about relationship. The more of a relationship they have with you, the more they're going to refer. So the relationship has to be more than just vendor, is where I'm going with that, right? So all the things we talk about, building relationships and doing things like newsletters and client appreciation events and gifting and all those things, like the QBRs where you're actually going in and meeting with them and being that CIO, Chief Technology Officer to them. All those things matter, because that is the relationship building piece that actually gets you referrals more than anything else, right? I mean, because I think all of you can think of a vendor that you have that maybe they're not that great, they're just getting started, but you really like the person, so you refer them a lot, right? And so that's one of the things to keep in mind. I'm going to give you campaigns, I'm going to give you strategies, but at the end of the day, if you're not that good and you don't have a good relationship, then all this is not going to, like the 10 referral thing, you got to understand, it's not going to, that's why I have people who send a campaign out to their list and it gets no response, and they're like, well, the campaign didn't work. Well, maybe, or maybe that's a sign there's a relationship problem. All right, so just keep that in mind. You still need to sell and follow up with referrals. Just because somebody refers you doesn't mean they're going to just show up with a check in hand and say how much. You still need to do all the selling and the pre-meeting materials and everything, just like a cold lead. The process should be slightly different because you want to use the fact that a client referred you or somebody they know referred you. Obviously, you don't want to just ignore that. You want to say, hey, I know so-and-so referred you, and make it a point of the communication, give them a little special discount or a gift, or I don't care, whatever it is, something so they feel special for being referred, because what you're doing is if they become a client, you're training them that referrals get special treatment, and that's what we do around here. Does that make sense? Okay, so you want to make sure that the follow-up process should still be everything like a cold lead, but it should also have the referral built into it. Hey, because you're a referral, we're going to give you a special gift, or we add this in, or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just some sort of recognition for that. The best referral partners often can be people who are not necessarily in great relationships, meaning, they like you and do a good job, but there is a mutually beneficial reason for the referral to happen. So think about this from the standpoint, who benefits, and this is a question you ought to write down, who benefits when I get a customer? And the answer doesn't come to you right away, that's okay. Who benefits when I get a customer? All right, because if you get a customer, and somebody else is benefiting, they have an interest in referring you. So for example, a lot of our referrals for Big Red Virtual are coming from Jason and Austin, for example, because they know what it's like to work with us. They know the platform is solid. They know there's not going to be any surprises. They know we've got a good support team. So yes, they're incentivized to have somebody use our virtual platform versus somebody else. Because if it goes sideways, and it can go sideways on some of these virtual platforms, and it's not their fault because the software is good, now it's like someone could go blame them. With us, they know it's going to happen, it's going to be perfect, it's going to work, there's going to be no surprises. So there is another question for referrals is not just existing clients, but ask yourself who benefits when you get a customer, all right? And the other thing is be meticulous in your handling, your follow-up, and rewarding referrals, or you won't get more. Because a referral that is not recognized and rewarded to the person who referred, sometimes they're not going to come back and do it a second, third, fourth time when they feel like they have not gotten any recognition for that referral.